All right, guys. So, welcome back to the Roger Sarn podcast where we talk all things Army. And I'm your host, Sarn Cruz. And today we're going to be discussing the ALARACT that just came out on 21 November 2024. Okay. So, let's go through the agenda real fast. And this is going to be an extensive deep dive into the ALARACT because at the end of the day, as leaders, you have to understand how to disseminate the information. You have to understand the information to disseminate it to the lowest level, right? Or you're going to be using it for yourself. So this is why when you get an ALARAC, you want to make sure that you're reading it and you're going through the references, understanding it, processing it, and then delivering the message. All right. So we're going to talk about child care reimbursement. That's the ALARAC. That's the bottom line. ALARAC number 094/2024. And you can find this ALARAC on HRC website. Or you can go to my Gmail that I'll link in the description, and it's going to take you there and just click on ALARACs and you find it. Then we're going to do a walkthrough and we're going to talk about the definitions of the terms that are within the ALARAC so you understand what every term means. Then we're going to talk about eligibility and clarification. Then we're going to talk about supporting documents that you're going to need in order to submit the documents in order to submit the claim, if you will. Then we're going to talk about submission requirements and payment method, right? Because we try and get paid at the end of the day. Then we'll conclude and wrap it up. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so here we have ALARAC 094/2024. As you can see right here, it says child care provider transportation costs reimbursement due to a permanent change of station. First thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna look at what we have is references, right? We look at the references because, as I told you before, you want to make sure that you understand everything. So the first thing you're gonna have is Title 37, and when we click on because everything has a hyperlink, so you can click on it and it'll take you there. So I click on it and it takes me to that website. Let me close this one out. All right, so it takes you to that website. So when we go there, as you saw it, it says Title 37. This is pretty small, but I'm gonna go to be able to highlight it so you can see it. And you see right there, you scroll all the way down to Title 37. And one second, let me get this right. I have a lot of notes, so bear with me when we do this. So Title 37, paying allowances of the uniform services. So you're gonna click on that. You'll see that it has a plus button. You'll click on the plus button. And then the next thing we're going to look for is Chapter 8. And you have Chapter 8, Travel and Transportation Allowances. We're going to click on that. And then from there, we're going to go to Subchapter 1, which is here. Subchapter 1, Travel and Transportation Authorities, New Law. I'm going to click on it. And then from there, it'll take me to Travel and Transportation. And if you see right there, it says Section 454, Travel and Transportation Pilot Programs. And the reason why it's a pilot program because it's new and it has an end date and it has a through date. But you'll see it. We'll talk about it when we get to the memorandum. When we get to the ALARAC. So I'm gonna click on it, and that's gonna take me here. But I already pulled it up. That's gonna take me to this right here, which is talking about travel and transportation pilot programs. Is going to give you all the information. So when you go to these websites and you click on these hyperlinks, it's literally taking you to each section of the law, whether it's ran through the House, the Senate, or through the DOD, wherever it's ran through, and this and you're gonna see what their version is. It's borderline. It's the same thing, but at the end of the day, it just everyone has their own interpretation and they wrote it differently. But the DoD just takes the biggest chunks and gives it to us. Real fast, just so you can see what this website looks like. Here we go. Let's take this cam link out. It's the it's the Office of the Law Revision Council, United States Code. So that's what we're looking at, right? That's the website you should land on. And all this is telling you the same thing that the ALARAC is telling you, as I previously said. It talks about the reimbursement of the child costs. It talks about the authority, which is the Secretary of Defense. Talks about the maximum amounts, which is in America or on the continent of the United States, and then 1500 oconus. And then you can read through it on your own, right? Let's go back. Now we're talking about the second bullet, which is the joint travel regulations. So you click on that hyperlink, and that's going to take you to, if you can see there, it says policy and regulation. That's where you're going to go. You're going to go down. You just hover over it. Go to joint travel. Go to joint. So here you go. Policy and regulations right there. Then you go down and you hit joint travel regulations. And this says it in the ALARACT. Tells you exactly how to do it. Then you go to your right and you hit joint travel regulation chapter 1 through 6. I'm going to click on that. And once I click on that, I'm scrolling all the way down because I'm looking for the section that says 050108. And I know that because when I come here, it says it right there. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So let's go back in there. And I'm going to scroll all the way down. Scroll. And as you can see, like when you're a leader, this is the stuff that you got to deep dive into in order to understand regulations and policies and ALARACTs and MILPER messages that they put out, so you can pass them out. So, oh crap, wrong one, hit the wrong button, silly me. All right, here we go. And this is the one we're looking for right here. As you can see, it's 05018. So I'll click on it, and then it'll take me to the reimbursement page, which is, oh, my bad. Click. Here we go. And it says it right here. Pilot program to reimburse. Same thing. Eligibility is effective 1 October 2024 through September 30th, 2027. And it tells you that. And that's the time that you're going to have for the pilot. And then they're going to get the information, see how much money's there, and then they'll start budgeting, or they'll cut it down because it's too much money. Who knows? And again, it says the same thing. You see, 500 limit for CONUS and limited to 1500 for OCONUS. So, like I said, it just tells you the same information, but from somewhere else, right? So you can see that everyone's on the same accord. Then this one right here, don't worry about it. I tried to look through it and I can't find what it is, but that's literally just a website that's going to tell that talks about laws, Congress. Let me get this out the way so you can see it. It's congress.gov. And actually, this is a site that my buddy, he's a first sergeant. He was a first sergeant. He's up in website, First Sergeant Hennon. And he showed me this. And anytime like we talked about laws and bills that are going through, he would always refer us to there and he'd show us and all that cool stuff. All right, I digress. So the purpose is to announce eligibility for child care provider, transportation costs, and reimbursement due to a permanent duty station of or PCS, and the applicability. I'm wilding. The provisions of reference 1B apply to the regular Army, National Guard, active Army Guard, and reserves of the United States, and the U.S. Army Reserve soldiers on PCS orders with an effective date of 1 October 2024 or later. So, as you guys already know, when it comes to regulations and MILPER messages and ALARACTs, we get our own version. Then the National Guard and the active Guard and the reserves, they have to wait until their command puts it out. But no, it is coming and it's going to be effective. They just have to wait. And it typically comes maybe a month, maybe a couple months max later. But I've seen it done as early as a month to 3 weeks. Okay. Real quick, let's talk about definitions because there's a few definitions that are going to be in there. And the first one is going to be the term Military Child Development Center. And all that means is that it's a facility on the military installation, right? And that's where the child's going to receive the services and provide it for members of the armed forces, and the facility at which such child services are provided that are operated by the Secretary of a military department. So that's a pretty much called the CDC. All right. The second term that's in there that you need to understand is a family home daycare. And all that means is it's a home-based childcare service that are provided for members of the armed service by individuals who are either certified by the Secretary of the Military Department concerned as qualified to provide those services and provide services on a regular basis for compensation. Then there's another term called the child care employee, and that means a civilian employee of the Department of Defense who is an employed to work in the Military Child Development Center. So that's a CDC. And then the last one is going to be child care fee receipts. And that just means that these non appropriate funds are divided into fees by members of the Armed Forces Child Care Services provided by Military Child Development Centers, so the CDC. Okay, so now that we understand what those are, and if you don't know what those are, you can find them also in my Gmail. I'll have them there, and you can just go according to that. All right, let's move forward. So, moving into the first section, which is eligibility, right? And as we already discussed, and we already know that the Army is going to reimburse soldiers for qualified care provider transportation costs due to PCS when, and these are the stipulations. When you're on reassignment to PCS orders from one duty station to another, so you're going to PCS. The soldiers authorize dependent travel allowances, right? When you PCS, you have dependents, you're authorized them, and it's on your orders. That's it. When they say authorize, that just means it's on your orders. Then the next part is going to be the child care is not available at the CDC at new permanent duty station within 30 days of soldier's reporting date. That happens a lot. We understand that. So what do you do in the meantime? You'll probably put the child in another care, and that care has to be a specific care, which is under the website that we're going to discuss in a second. But it just can't be willy nilly. I just put my grandma to watch my child, right? And then the next one is going to be the soldiers on the wait list for the CDC at the new place of duty. That's important. That's important because you're not going to get reimbursed for something that you don't intend to do. If you don't intend to put the child in childcare, then how are you getting reimbursed for being on a waiting list that you don't intend to occupy? And that's why it's so important to get the waiting list, get on the waiting list. And then yep, and then clarification, I don't know if I yeah. So clarification of eligibility for reimbursement or file. So there's certain things that you got to meet and they're going to clarify for you. A soldier on a PCS order within an effective date of 1 October 2024 or later, just like the previously two websites that we discussed that we went to, they say the same thing, right? But this is just the military telling you, the DoD may be authorized child care provider transportation reimbursement when the child care is not available at the CDC at new place of duty station within 30 days of the soldier reporting date. And the soldier's dependent child is on a wait list for the CDC at new place of duty station. Eligibility requirements are met upon PCS due to new duty station. So as soon as you get to that new duty station, you're automatically eligible to file this claim. Let's just call it a claim. And your child, obviously, if they can't get into the CDC within the first 30 days, that's another that's another requirement that you just met. And then the next one, you have to get the written statement saying that they don't they don't have space for them. Okay. So the next thing is the reimbursement packet can only be submitted after the soldier obtains the written or electronically generated documentation that the child is on a wait list. So, and then we have this website right here. It says such as http://militarychildcare.com. We go here and you're going to see a bunch of childcare options, right? So, for instance, myself, I'm in Fort Cavasso, so 76544. And you see it right there. It says Fort Cavasso's installation. So let's go ahead and click that. And I'll click go. And then it's going to give me all these childcare sites right here. Let's move myself out the way. Right here, Fort Cavazos Family Child Care Program. So, and then you have Work School Age Care, Montague Development Center, Clear Creek Child. It keeps going on and on. Meadows, all sorts of CDCs, right? And you have options to say, let's say 50 miles because I'm reckless with it from 76544. Actually, we don't want to do 50 miles because nobody wants to be that far. Let's say 20, 20 miles. And then I find the childcare option and it happens the same way. It just gives me more options on the side. Okay. So that's it for that. And the next portion that we're going to talk about, actually, yeah, not done. Uh, the soldier may be reimbursed for commercial transportation expenses incurred by a designated child care provider for the travel to the PCS location up to the maximum reimbursement. And here we go. Just like I showed you on the other sites, the maximum reimbursement for CONUS is 500 and the maximum reimbursement for OCONUS is 1500. And if you go back to the website, it says designated CD childcare provider. Those designated childcare providers are on that website. So they put you in a, I wouldn't say a bind, but they make sure that that you're using the network. Let's put it that way. Like when you buy Apple products, they want you to use the whole Apple network, right? Same thing with Android or anything else that you may purchase that has multiple lines of products. Same thing with the military, right? They want you to use their stuff. So that's why they're so stringent about that. And they give you the website so you have the knowledge to figure out who's eligible and who you can take it to. Because it doesn't have to be a CDC. As you see, it says a childcare provider that's certified as well. That's on post. So it can be someone that's in at the house. All right, let's move on. Next thing we're going to talk about is supporting documents because you, as a soldier submitting a claim, you have a responsibility to fill out certain documents. And the soldier is going to must provide written or electronic generated documentation establishing that the child's on the wait list. We've discussed that. And there's the website again in case you missed it up top. And it just has to say that you are not eligible to put your child in that facility for the next 30 days, within 30 days. And then the child care provider must be designated by the soldier in writing. So you have to make sure that that provider that you're going to use, there's a memorandum with that individual on it. Then the next part is going to be the soldier is responsible for contacting the travel management company to make commercial reservations on behalf of the child care provider, right? So if you reimbursement is limited to commercial transportation expenses, including air, rail, or bus fare, transportation to or from the airport or rail station, and en route or departure rental, right? So you get reimbursed for whichever one of those options you use. Now, the reason why they specify that is because the next sentence says use of privately owned vehicles is not authorized or reimbursable. So if you transport someone who is a child care provider in your personal vehicle, then they're not going to pay you. That's all to it. Um, the next thing is the soldier must provide receipts, expenses of 75 or more. So if it's 65, don't don't even bother. So make sure you make it worthwhile. Commercial flights, right? You have to use commercial flights on a U.S. flag air. The TMC document on the travel invoice. So pretty much when you use their travel, when you go to Sato or wherever you book it, it has to go through it has to be a flag carrier. So, and if it's not so on the travel invoice, it has to show that the flag carrier is not available if you're using anything other than that. And it says right there, in the case, the soldier will submit a copy of the document invoice with the travel claim for reimbursement. And then if the household contains more than one service member, because sometimes you want to double you want to double dip, eligible for reimbursement, such as service members married to another service member, cohabitating, and so forth. then the only one service member may be reimbursed for the child care provider transportation as jointly elected by the service member. So if there's a such thing, I have not looked this up. So if you have a junior enlisted, let's say a E4 specialist, and then you have, this is just me, don't come for me, but this is just me giving you an example. And then you have an E5 sergeant, right? And they are married, or let's say E7 sergeant, and you have an E5 special sergeant. I don't know. You have a mixture of, or officers of the somewhat of the sort. If there's a difference between pay between the ranks, then maybe you should choose the one that gets paid higher. If that's a thing, I'm not sure if that's a thing. I don't know. But it says right there, it's jointly elected by the members. So that just makes me think about it. Then we're going to move into submission requirements. So soldier will submit the following supporting documents to the Defense Finance and Accounting. So you're going to submit it to DFAS. And that's the website right there. You're going to submit that. Then you're going to have a copy of PCS orders. Then you're going to have a copy of the written or electronically generated document that's saying that the child's on a wait list because they can't get in on 30 days. And you see how it's redundant. It keeps saying the same thing. So if you don't do something, it's because you chose not to. Then you're going to have proof of transportation fees. Over what? How much? All right. You already know. And then the big one, the one that we care about, the method of payment. It's going to be the soldier is going to complete, you, the soldier, you are going to complete the DD form 1351-2. And that's going to be the travel voucher or sub voucher in accordance with the instructions provided via the DFAS Smart Voucher module. So you got to go into that website, the DFAS Smart Voucher module, right there. You got to go in here. You see it right there, right? You got to go there. And then in reimburse, and then it's going to be in reimbursable expenses. The soldier will select other and claim. Then you're going to select child care provider, listing the amount and date of the expenses that occurred, right? And that's pretty much it at the end of the day. And as you see here, as I said, it expires 2021, November 25. So I really hope that you guys got something out of this. It's a lot. And like I said, I'm here to process it for you, deliver the information. Hopefully I delivered it in a manner that you understand it. If you're on YouTube, thanks for watching as always. If you're listening on the podcast version, then go ahead and download and leave a review. And I suggest if you're listening on the podcast, you go ahead and go to the YouTube channel so you can see what I'm talking about, and you can click on that Google Drive. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, or you have any ideas or anything that you want me to cover, go ahead and hit my Gmail at rogersarn@gmail.com. And you already know, follow, click the subscribe button, notification, all that cool stuff. I'm on TikTok. On TikTok, I'll give you guys the very abbreviated version. I'm just letting you know it's out there. That's pretty much where I have the main gain of my following. Also, we are on season 5. I didn't say it in the beginning. I don't think I did, but this is season 5 for the podcast. And I did take a long break because I was at NTC. But yeah, I did. We're on season 5, and we're out here putting out information, and you guys are out here helping me out by tuning in and encouraging me with all these comments and stuff. We're at 550 subscribers, so I appreciate you guys for that. But go ahead and like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care, and I'm out. Peace.
Roger, Sarn!